What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and we need to talk about Sundial Growers stock today, ticker symbol SNDL, because today is the delisting day, okay? It's the day that they're supposed to receive their delisting notice. We're going to talk about what's going on with the stock, what actually happened, and where they might be going in the future. We've also got some exciting legalization news to talk about towards the end of this, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But we're just going to jump right into Sundial stock and see what's been going on with them. So they're down about 2% on the day today. It's been a bit of a rough morning for Sundial, and over the past couple of days, they've actually been doing pretty good, right? They've been trending up over the past week or so. Now, a lot of people are wondering what's going on with the delisting, right? Are they actually going to be taken off of the NASDAQ and delisted? Well, we will know that very soon. And here's exactly what's going on with them. Here's the situation we're in. So exactly 180 business days ago, right? Or 180 days ago, they received their deficiency notice. They are officially going to receive a letter today, right? They're either going to receive a delisting letter or they're going to receive a second grace period from the NASDAQ. So those are the two options that we've got. And if they do receive that delisting letter today, which today should be the day they receive it on, unless they get an extension, then they will have 4 business days to alert us. And they will have to do that by filing an 8K with the SEC. And the place that you can check for that is right here. Now, if you just go to the sec.gov webpage and then search for Sundial, you can actually find their most recent filings yourself. But I will let you guys know. If you want to subscribe to the channel, feel free to subscribe, and I will let you guys know as soon as I see this coming out. So it will be an 8K. The most recent thing we've got from them is from the 24th of January. So nothing as of yet, right? They have up to 4 business days to release this. So by the 11th of February, we should know what's going on with Sundial. Are they being delisted? Are they getting a second grace period? Are they appealing the delisting process? So we'll talk through those 3 points very briefly, right? Either they're going to get a second grace period and they're going to say, hey, we have an extra 180 days to get back to the $1 level. That seems like a somewhat likely possibility for them. I think that there are a couple of reasons that we're going to talk about towards the end of this video why that might happen. But the second option, they either get this delisting letter and try to appeal it or not. So those are the other two. If they do try to appeal it, then what they'll do is they'll go to the hearings panel and they will ask for a hearing process, and that will effectively halt the delisting process until the panel renders their decision. So that would indefinitely delay the delisting of Sundial from the NASDAQ if they decide to go through the hearings process. And once again, if they do, then I think they might have a pretty good shot at actually getting their appeal approved, right? I don't think that the NASDAQ wants to delist Sundial. I think that they realize there are some massive catalysts coming for them over the course of 2022 that we're about to talk about, but I don't think that anyone really wants to delist Sundial, right? It's a very popular stock. It's a retail favorite, and although their price has been hurt over the past couple of months, that's true of many small market cap stocks, and we are seeing what might finally be the bottom for a lot of these smaller stocks as they've really taken a lot of pain in January. It was one of the worst Januaries for the stock market ever, and we're finally starting to move back up off of those lows. So finally, people are seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, if they decide to go through this hearings process, once again, it could effectively halt the delisting process indefinitely. If they don't, then maybe they just throw their hands up in the air and say, all right, we're delisted. Then what should happen is if you have a brokerage at Robinhood, you should still be able to sell the stock and hold it in that account, but you won't be able to buy more of the stock. And depending on your brokerage, maybe you have a brokerage like TD Ameritrade, it should still be in your account, and then it would just be trading as an over-the-counter stock, an OTC stock, and you should still be able to buy and sell it as you would any other OTC stock. So that's what I believe will happen with Sundial if they get delisted, which doesn't seem like the most likely situation. But once again, over the next 4 days, that's how long they have to alert us as to what has happened. We will figure it out, okay? As soon as that 8K comes out, as soon as I notice that 8K is out, I will make a video. So feel free to subscribe if you guys want to know what's going on with Sundial. We've got about 10K subs right now. Now, what we're looking at is some good news that's actually coming out for the future of Sundial. As long as they don't get delisted, this is going to be very good stuff, all right? We're looking at legalization news, and the path towards legalization has never actually looked as bright as it currently looks. Now there are Democrats and Republicans pushing for legalization because of this, right? They know that it is a big deal to voters, whether or not they legalize or not. And that is why Schumer, the majority leader in the Senate, is planning to file his legalization bill in April because the midterm elections are in November, right? They're Tuesday, November 8th. And we're going to see where the voters decide to cast their votes, who they decide to cast them for. Schumer wants to get ahead of things and put a legalization bill forward in April. Okay, so then you've got April, May, June, July, August, and September until those November midterm elections to actually get this thing approved or to get Representative Nancy Mace's approved. Okay, Amazon has actually endorsed Representative Nancy Mace and her States Reform Act, a bill that would end the federal government's 85-year prohibition on cannabis. So we have, once again, Republicans, Nancy Mace, Democrats, Schumer, who are trying to legalize this and are trying to do it before the midterm elections because this is a very tight race and pretty much everyone is in favor at this point of cannabis legalization. It's a pretty widely accepted substance at this point. A lot of people in the country, at the very least, think it should be legal for medical purposes, as polls have shown, and a lot of people, the majority, even think that it should be legal for recreational purposes. So it would be incredibly popular to end the federal government's listing of it as a Schedule 1 substance. So look at this. We have the historical party control, and in 2022, you can see things are basically very close, right? We've got 50 Republicans, 50 Democrats in the Senate, and Democrats are barely beating out Republicans in the House. This is a very close race that we're going to be looking at, okay? Things have typically not been this close in the past. You can see typically there is a party that's clearly in control, and sometimes things swap over, but we are looking at a very close race, and cannabis legalization is a massive issue. So on November 8th, people are going to be going out to the polls, and they are going to remember what has happened with cannabis legalization because it will start in April. At the latest, right? That's when Schumer's planning to file his legalization bill. We've already got Nancy Mace's States Reforms Act in the House. People could be voting on it now if they wanted to. And we're going to see which side can claim these voters, right? Which side can actually show that they've got what it takes to get this thing passed. And, you know, both sides want their own bills getting passed. We're obviously going to see some fighting between the Republicans and the Democrats. And my hope is that someone will get it through, right? Because if someone gets this through, it would be incredibly beneficial, not just for Sundial, but for all the cannabis stocks, okay? We've seen massive pumps in the past when legalization has looked like a possibility. We've seen massive pumps in Sundial, and we could certainly see a massive pump again. And that is another reason why I think that it's unlikely Sundial will actually be delisted. I think the NASDAQ realizes that there is all of this news coming out regarding legalization, that there's going to be probably a huge push on both sides to get legalization passed, to garner some support, because nobody wants to be seen as the guy who's closing the door to legalization. Nobody wants to be the gatekeeper and keep this archaic policy in place that people just nowadays, quite frankly, are not a huge fan of. Nobody wants to be that guy. Nobody wants to be in that party that's doing that. And voters do not want to vote for the party that's doing that. So a lot of people are probably going to push for legalization. We're probably going to see it, in my opinion, hopefully sometime before the 2022 November elections, because that would certainly benefit whichever party is able to convince the most people that it was their doing, their responsibility. So obviously we're going to see some slowdowns. You know, the Republicans are going to want their bill to get passed. The Democrats are going to want their bill to get passed. But at the end of the day, what really matters is that a bill gets passed and that people were on board with it. That's probably other voters are going to see it, right? As long as nobody was putting up resistance that's too fierce and people were generally in support, I think the voters will be happy with those politicians. And if there are any politicians who show staunch opposition to it, then maybe voters will teach them a lesson in the midterm elections. And I think that a lot of politicians realize that, right? A lot of politicians know that this is an issue close to voters' hearts and close to investors' hearts, especially Sundial investors. And we're probably going to see some good stuff for Sundial if this goes through. That's my expectation. And I will say that even if Sundial does happen to get delisted, there is still a possibility that as an over-the-counter stock, it could be doing incredibly well. In fact, if you look at other over-the-counter stocks, cannabis-related stocks like MJNA, you can see that they did incredibly well around the same time as Sundial, despite being an over-the-counter stock like Sundial has the potential to turn into if they end up getting delisted over the next couple of days. So there's a lot of good stuff coming down the pipeline for Sundial, or so it seems. There's also significant risk with the delisting process. Seriously, guys, this is a risky play right now because it does have the potential to be delisted over the next couple of days. And if that happens, then, you know, there's less liquidity, less people are able to buy the stock. A lot of people might be scared out of it and decide to sell. We could see a big depreciation in price. I just want to point that out, that this isn't a guaranteed play, but it is one that I'm very interested in, one that I'm still holding my stock in. So if you guys are interested, feel free to subscribe to the channel, and keep in mind that none of this is financial advice. I'm not recommending that anyone buy or sell any certain stocks. I'm just letting you guys know some of the news and my opinions on the whole situation that we're looking at with Sundial. So other than that, guys, have a great day. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.